So let's get into it, man. As a Dallas Cowboy fan, I've been a little harsh on him. And especially at this Dalton Schultz situation. And as you sit back and upon further review, you have to take a step back and kind of look at how does this compare? What are we looking for? Did all these other tight ends that I'm comparing them to, did they come out like that where we thought they were going to be this type of person? Antonio Gates was a basketball player when he first got into the league, you know? You start looking around and you say, all right, who does he compare to? Well, we look at George Kittle. We think of him as a monster at San Francisco. But a lot of that has to do with the scheme in which Shano puts him in. They utilize him in the right way. Then you look at his frame and you're like, man, he's 6'4", 250, playing tight end position, relentless. Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Then you look at what Travis Kelce has done with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, he does have a great quarterback. He didn't always have one, but he did have Alex Smith first. Then he started working with Patrick Mahomes, and now they got a great relationship. Then you start looking at it. Andy Reid. Man, Andy Reid scheming him up, trying to get him the ball. His relationship. Good times. Then you look at what's going on with David Njoku. And you're like, all right, what's going on with him? How's he size up? Oh, Derek Carr. Wait a minute. They got great quarterbacks getting them the ball. They got good play callers. John Gruden, mind just making plays. Okay, 6'4", 246. I mean, excuse me, not Njoku. Darren Waller, 6'6", 255, working with them. Then you look at what David Njoku just did, 6'4", 246, made some money. He's not consistent enough just yet, but they look at him as the future. Bring in Deshaun Watson, another good quarterback. Here we go. Baker Mayfield was doing great at first, was working with him. Then he got hurt, and then the things have changed. So I'm sitting there looking at this, and I'm saying, okay, Dak Prescott, we've already known that this is one of his favorite wide receivers. The numbers have told us that. Rod, you've gone through them and how accurate they are and how third down, that's the guy that they're looking for. He's a big part of their scheme.
Yes.
But I also look at it, and I say, great play callers have to scheme up these players to make sure that they're getting them in the right place. So I sit back and I say, is Dalton Schultz worth that type of money? Well, he had a breakout year in 2021. He had career high 78 catches, 808 yards, 8 touchdowns. He's the most reliable pass catcher of the receiving core that Dak has obviously spent a lot of chemistry with.
Yeah, he loves him.
He's
in Miami.
That's what I was just about to say. They took a trip to Miami, and you're starting to sit there and you say, how do you use him? And I'm going to give football X and O. It's X&O _ football, a little bit of credit on this, because you go back and you start looking at the traditional alignments. How do they mix them up? And this is where I have to go and start taking time and thinking about Kellen Moore, Mike McCarthy. How are you going to scheme this up to make this young man? The numbers are telling us that he is worth that.
Yep.
But what are you going to do now that he's not a happy camper? What are you going to do to show that he is going to be your go-to guy? Well, let's put it in perspective. Michael Gallup, not going to be there at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
You're still trying to figure that one out. CeeDee Lamb, first opportunity to be the true number one. That means you're going to probably get double-teamed. You're going to have to learn how to work off the line. Rod, you've talked about how you like to be that bump and run type of defender and try to get people off their route. He's not the biggest wide receiver. So that might work. Maybe teams start to scheme towards that. We've talked about Tony Pollard and what we're looking at him trying to be. So that is going to create possibly some one-on-one opportunity for Dak's favorite target.
Yeah.
So as we continue to look down, Pro Football Focus, and I know you like to look at them, Rob.
I like them.
You know, it says that, in fact, Schultz spent as many snaps in alignment as wide in the final 7 games as he did in the first 11 games, and increased from 6.3% of his offensive snaps to 9.8. So that means that he is still lining up away for one-on-one coverage. So if you're going to do that and he becomes that one-on-one wide receiver for you, Are you going to increase that? So you're saying it went from 6.3 of his offensive snaps to 9.8. So you were big on the numbers, Rod, and looking at how it happens and where it happens at. But now this is the time for the Dallas Cowboys to go back and look at the film and say, if we can create these types of situations, even more so, and his win rate is that of someone that is going to increase his receptions, because we just talked about it. He had a career high in receptions with 78 receptions last year with 808 yards and 8 touchdowns. And he seems to be a great pass catcher. Are you going to create more plays for him? So this goes back to what we've been talking about. Is he worth the money? Is he somebody that we are going to put in the same voice of a George Kittle, a Travis Kelce, Njoku, and Darren Waller? I had to take a step back and say, you know what? There's a strong possibility that if the Cowboys don't see and utilize him to the point of realizing that we can make money or save money but give him enough money to put him in that echelon, he's not going to be the highest paid by no means.
No.
But are we going to be fair enough to him to where he may even give you a deal? Because Dak is probably in your ear right now telling you, we need to give him some money because this is the guy that I'm the most comfortable with. It's not CD. It's not Jalen Tolbert, who just got here, who's in Miami with me. It's not Michael Gallup, who we don't know how healthy he's going to be. It's not CD, because I'm still trying to figure out if CD is going to run the right routes where I can feel comfortable enough that I know where he's going to be, where I could just throw it there. I might have to take a step back and say, you paid Jason Witten when you didn't have to pay Jason Witten. Even when he was just coming back to be a fill gap, you didn't need to do that, but you did. You've let other people walk away from you where you're not spending the money on the right positions. So now I had to take a step back, and I'm like, maybe Dalton Schultz is the answer because of the comfortability that our quarterback, who all the numbers that I showed you with all these different quarterbacks that are getting these players the ball, you might have to do that. So I have to take a long look at this one and realize that maybe he is the long-term answer for the Dallas Cowboys at the tight end position, and not only the tight end position, the playmaking tight end position.
I love that, and I'll add a couple of things. I think you did a great job because you convinced me a little bit of it too, because I think the chemistry that Dak has with his receivers, now that you lost Amari Cooper, you lost Cedric Wilson. Cedric Wilson had been with that team a long time.
Yes, he was.
They drafted him in the same draft they drafted Michael Gallup, I believe.
Yes.
So he's been working with Dak for a long time. That's why they look so comfortable with each other. So that's chemistry that you lost with those two receivers, and now you're trying to, and you got some with CD, but I mean, you don't know if he's got wide receiver one chemistry with him. You know he's got a comfort zone with Dalton Schultz. I'm with you. It's almost a reinvestment in your quarterback position, and you want Dak to be happy. Happy wife, happy life. I always compare, choosing a quarterback like choosing a significant other. The woman you married, not the hottest woman you ever dated, the one that was right for you. Once you chose Dak as just your significant other, if Dak wants his tight end.
Yeah.
Get Dak his tight end.
Get Dak his tight end. Because you're looking bad in the public eye with some of your non-moves during this offseason. Now, the window is kind of closing for them to make this deal for a long-term deal because I believe it's in the
July
middle
15th.
of – I was going to say next week.
Yeah.
Next week. So they need to heat this thing up. If not, he's going to play out the franchise tag because he's still going to make good money, but you're going to play yourself into having to make a bigger payment as opposed to just paying him enough.
Maybe they have a long-term strategy that we're not privy to.
Right.
But if they don't, I'm with you. They need to expedite this process and prioritize signing him to a long-term extension. And I'll add to it also, if you start looking at just across the league, teams are starting to prioritize quarterback wide receiver chemistry. It's one of those things.
You have talked about that.
We talked about that, right? With Kyler Murray and Marquise Brown, where you're talking about Devontae Smith and Jalen Hurts, or Devontae Adams and Derek Carr. I mean, it's the list goes on and on. So I think it's something that to consider. I'm glad you brought it up from the Dak angle of it. That it's Dak you want to be comfortable.
Yep,
and
for sure.
Yeah, so I like that. I like that. Maybe they do have a long-term strategy. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like they do.
If they're looking at what I've been looking at and how it piqued my interest with the fact of the comparables, yeah, you might need to go ahead and lock that one up, man.
Yeah, I mean, and you assume this year.
I still like Jake Ferguson, though.
Yeah, but you assume this year he's going to have a breakout year. Because you lost a lot of targets. You lost Amari Cooper, a ton of targets there. You lost Cedric Wilson, ton of targets there. Well, where are those targets going? Yeah. Well, we assume CeeDee Lamb's going to get some more targets, but he was already highly targeted last year. I think Dalton Schultz is going to get some more targets too. So, yeah, I'm with you. You want that guy to be happy. And think about the franchise tag. If you let him play on that franchise tag, guys feel disrespected by it.
Thank you. That's my point.
They feel like it's a slight, and it's very it's not very unlikely for you to re-sign them after they feel like you've disrespected them by letting them play on the franchise tag. It is good money, but they want the long-term commitment. It's like it's always compared to a woman who you've been dating her for 4 or 5 years. She don't want a promise ring. She wants an engagement ring. The promise ring means something different than the engagement ring is. It can be a diamond in promise ring. It can be a diamond studded promise ring. She don't want it.
Yeah,
she'll take a single carat engagement ring over your 2-3 carat promise ring.
Yeah, because I'm gonna get that promise ring back.
Yeah,
I will add in too that if you look at the way tight ends normally get hurt throughout a season, that even if you say Ferguson steps up and you're 2-3 years down the line, and you have Ferguson playing really well and Schultz is still on contract and you'd like to move him, you probably be able to, because it's not that he's asking for too much money. It just seems like a lot of money for a tight end because the market jumped a bunch in the last 2 years.
Yep. Yeah, and as you know, the salary cap will continue to grow
because
TV
every
year.
Money is coming.
So in like 3 years, I bet that Dalton Schultz trade would be a real easy trade to make if you wanted to do it.
Absolutely.
Not just TV money, but sports gambling money is about to blow up.
It's already there.